So what are the biggest trends that you see now that we've been through the pandemic, post-pandemic, people are attending more and more events? What are the biggest trends that you see for the next couple of years?
Well, I threw myself into the digital space. When we came through the pandemic, I realized that a lot of people would be using online and it wouldn't go away. It would be a hybrid of stuff. So I'm into the metaverse, I'm into blockchain, not so much fintech. I got my fingers burnt, as many people have, with the cryptocurrency space, but it's still very valid and it still has growth in it. And I throw myself into the digital world. Why? Because I believe that is the future, whether you believe in a metaverse or you believe, I mean, for instance, people talk about, yeah, we're building a metaverse. You're not building a metaverse. There's only one metaverse, like there's only one internet. You're building a virtual world inside the metaverse. So that way people can understand. But for me, I find that it's a fascinating place to be. What I find is you should go, it's like, for instance, Wayne Gretzky, the incredible ice hockey player, said, "Don't go where don't go where the action is with the hockey puck. Keep an eye on the game, read it, and go where the puck's going next." Right now, the puck is going towards digital, metaverse, remote, and as much as people are trying to fight it and go, no, it's coming back to the old way, it's not going to go completely back to the way it was. There's going to be a lot of people, for instance, who have businesses where they never meet their staff. They'll see them on Zoom, but they hired a guy in America, a guy in the UK, a guy in Germany, a lady in France, and so on. And they might never be face to face. And that's okay. That's fine. But that's the way things are going to go. So I think it's very dangerous to stay where you are. I would always keep an eye on new technology. I would say that is the biggest trend right now, because in business, what we used to have was a CEO was somebody who was great from sales. But then that altered. The CEO became somebody who was great from finances because they're the highest qualified person in the company. And so they're the best person to look at the data and say, right, we're going to make money from here and save it from there. And it actually made companies rich, but it also meant that companies lost their soul at the same time. And I don't mind saying that because I know a lot of accountants who would go, yeah, he's kind of right. But right now, the next generation of CEOs need to come from a CIO, the chief information officer, the person who's capable, who's choosing the technology and the data. So what they're doing is looking at, so do we work on Slack, or do we work on WhatsApp, or we got another bit of software we put in here, and how do we put it to integrate it to the overall system? That person who's predominantly a guy knows more about what the company is doing than anybody else, more than a CEO. So he's the main person. It's like the Mr. Spock of Star Trek. But the problem is, because they're so good, they come from a technology background, an engineering background, programming background. So they're like basically accountants. They don't have much of people skills. And 99% of them haven't actually been in any other department. So it's very hard for them to become a CEO because they have no experience about how the company runs, because they generally weren't invited into those meetings. They've got to learn a ton of new skills to be able to do it. And so one of the problems they've got in that particular industry is there's no women in it, or very few women in tech, very few women at a decision-making level of where things are going. So that's going to change in the future. So I would say that the best thing to do with trends is see what comes up on Google and see where you want to be. What are your skills? What are you interested in? What has your background given you an insight to be able to talk about? And who's your audience? You know, my audience, I know exactly who they are. They're business owners who are at C-level, who want to be seen as celebrities in their industry. They're not doing it because they want to be famous and have people come and say, sign my autograph, but they know their stuff, but they're looking at other people who've done really well, saying, I know what they do and I've done better. Why am I not getting the calls? Why am I not able to be positioned at that same level? And so I work with them. It's important to know your audience. It's important to be able to put that together. And once you've got that, then the trends kind of fall into place, because you just need to look at what shows up in your newsfeed. One of the tools that I use, for instance, is Flipboard, flipboard.com. Brilliant platform where you can put in the subjects of what you're interested in. So for me, it's about personal branding, it's about speaking, a little bit of politics, but more about new technology and so on. So I get a feed every few moments, like every 30 seconds, I'll get about 2 new articles from anywhere on the internet on the subjects that I've chosen. And it becomes a magazine on my phone. Now, what that means is that when I want to make posts on social media, or I want to research about what I'm going to be talking about, or any of the subjects of the people that I'm discussing stuff with, I can see the trends, I can see the latest stuff coming up on my phone. So I don't have to just do a Google search. I don't have to pick up a newspaper or magazine. My own magazine comes to me from flipboard.com. And I'm not earning anything from it. I've found that it's a great way to create content, and it also helps you to focus on the space that you're in by getting more content that comes through on that, so you can then position yourself as an expert on it. An expert doesn't mean you know more than anybody else. In many cases, especially as an interviewer, you just need to be able to ask the right questions to somebody who knows more than anybody else.
Just to recap then, if you don't mind, what kind of clients do you typically work with? And for those who are interested in working with you, what's a good first step?
Fantastic question. Thank you. I normally work with anybody who wants to have their life better. If they want to speak better, if they want to be able to be branded, if they want to get the right mindset, and they also want to have extra income streams as a direct result of that. Typically, what I've done is worked with people who are entrepreneurial, who started their own business, but I've also got an organization called the Game Changers, which is a global community. Now, some people are big hitters, are very successful multimillionaires, and some people are in jobs where they get paid a salary, but they've always wanted to run their own business, or they've always wanted to have a side hustle doing what their passion is really all about. So you can find out about the Game Changers on my regular posts on LinkedIn. Find me under Dave Crane Dubai. You can go to speakonstage.com, where you've got all the details about the stuff that I offer to the world. Or even better, just Google Dave Crane, and a load of stuff will hit you to the point where you wish you'd never done it. And that's pretty much the audiences that I'm working with. I'm open to help anybody. For working directly with me, then I will have a chat with you about it. But I've got enough content out there. If you've enjoyed the conversation that we've had, which I have indeed, Jeff, thank you, then there's enough content I give out all the time to help people to find their own space and find their own success. Because one day I won't be here anymore. And it doesn't matter. I don't believe I'm going to somewhere special. I think I'm going in a box. And so I want to give everybody around me who I meet or comes into contact with me as much stuff to make their life better as I can do. Whether they say thank you to me or meet me, I don't care. As long as you get something out of the impact of me being on the planet, happy days.